Now, game two of Warriors vs. Grizzlies just ended, and these two games have just been so incredible. And game two, just as good or amazing game again. And what a game by John Morant. And I'm really interested to see how the series will go. I mean, these first two games they're neck and neck. They're decided by 1 point in game one and pretty much 5 points in game two, and it was pretty much less than 3 point game most of the fourth quarter. And overall, I'm really interested to see just what will happen. Now, let's talk about this game. And first, we have to talk about John Morant because John Morant is just special. 47 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. I think he had like 5 3 pointers, and man, this guy is so good. I mean, he has the floaters, he has the driving on the basket, the athleticism, and especially today, the jump shot was there, and that really put him over the top. I mean, a lot of people are gonna back up a little bit because that threat of just being blown by is just too big, but he hit literally a step back three in the fourth quarter in front of Klay Thompson's face. He hit so many threes, and yes, maybe you really don't want him taking like 12 3 pointers in a game or 11 3 pointers, but when he's making 50% of them, yeah, take those because that just allows him, when he's more of a threat as a shooter, gets more floaters, which he did in the fourth quarter, more drives, and he just took over this game. I think he had like 30 points in the first 3 quarters, which is amazing. In the fourth quarter, I think 17 points. He started off with that layup, 2 layups, a layup over Clay, then he dropped Jordan Poole, he hit the step back three, hit another floater, hit some clutch free throws, and Jaw just took over this game. And Jaren, of course, fouled out, which you really hate to see. Dylan Brooks. Yeah, come on, Dylan Brooks, you can't do that. Desmond Bay, not very good. And then Brandon Clark, Zaire Williams, both played solid, especially Zaire. I think he's been he played pretty good. I mean, he's a solid defender too, and might be a really good rotational person for this team. But Jaw, oh my god, Jaw is so good. And first, I think Rusty Buckets, a YouTuber, talked about it, but how good the Timberwolves actually guarded John Morant because he's been John Morant's been cooking up the Warriors so far. I mean, he had 34 in game 1, 34 9 and 10. This game he has 47 8 and 8. And against the Wolves, he had like a couple stinkers, like 12-point games, some 20-point games. I think he only had like one 30-point game, and yet against this Warriors team, which statistically is better, he's been feasting on this team. And Jaw, I mean, we'll see what they do to adjust. Maybe they throw more doubles. I mean, just things that Wiggins, their best defender, was getting torched. When they switched to Clay, he was getting torched. Jordan Poole was getting torched. And that's just, I don't really know. I mean, if Jaw's hitting his jump shots, you can't really do much about it. And especially with the role players not playing very well on this Grizzlies team that we know can't step up, it was definitely, I mean, a winnable game for the Warriors. And overall, the Warriors, they didn't play amazing. I mean, Clay kind of choked. He missed a three. He traveled on possession. He just shot pretty bad. But I still think that Clay is gonna play better. I mean, he had the game-winning three last in game one, and yes, he missed the 2 free throws, but he's still such a smart player. His defense, I wouldn't say is the same, but he's still, of course, a really good player. Wiggins, 16 points, had a really good dunk. Draymond, the classic Draymond stat line, 6, 7, and 10. Solid defense. Steph, 27 points. I think he was like three for something, 3 for 10 from three, which isn't really like the 40% that we expect, but still, he played solid. He also had 8 assists, 9 rebounds. Jordan Poole, 20 points. I mean, Jordan Poole, he can light it up sometimes, and he's really going to be an X factor for this team, and especially with Gary Payton being out. They're really going to need to step up. Jonathan Kuminga gave them some solid minutes, Otto Porter some solid minutes, but overall, this series has been so impressive, and what a game overall. I mean, it was a gritty game overall. It was a physical game like we saw with already being 2 ejections in this series, and I mean, it's 2 very close games. I mean, the Grizzlies have, if that thing with the refs where they do the jump ball instead of it being Warriors ball, there's a chance that the Grizzlies would have won that game. And yes, John Moran missed that layup, which he definitely could have made, but these games have been decided by a couple possessions. And like, if Clay doesn't travel, if in this game, if they make a couple more shots, there's a good chance that the Warriors win this game. And if that game, in game 1, Morant hits a layup, they're up 2-0. And a lot of people like expected the Warriors to blow out the Grizzlies, like Warriors in 5, Warriors in 6. But I think that this is gonna be a really tight series. I mean, we saw in the regular season how good this Grizzlies team is. The depth: Darren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, John Morant, Desmond Bane, Zaire Williams, Brandon Clark. I mean, those are all solid players, especially Bane, Brooks, Jaw, Jaren. They can all pop off any game and really lead this team. I mean, Desmond Bane hasn't played good in this series, and yet they've still been so competitive. He only had 5 points this game. 5 points, and they still won the game, which is pretty concerning about the Warriors. But overall, I'm gonna be so excited to see how this series just keeps on going. I mean, 2 exciting teams, and I mean, the Grizzlies only shot 39% from the field. They only shot 31% from 3. And then the Warriors 18% from 3, only 7 threes, 42% from the field. And I mean, it's gonna be such a competitive series, and I really want to see, will Ja keep this up? The Warriors are gonna have to make some big adjustments. I mean, Clay, they're gonna need to step up more, and overall, how will they guard John Morant? I mean, maybe they can try blitzing him more, maybe just send a double, have the other guys beat them, which this Grizzlies team is very capable of doing that. But if they're having Ja take over, like, it was a lot of one-on-one, and Ja was just feasting on everyone. And even, I know Wiggins is a really good defender, but he doesn't have the same speed as someone like Gary Payton, who was a really good matchup for Ja, and hopefully gets well soon. But I don't know, I mean, the Grizzlies are a legit team, and I know a lot of people, like I said, expected the Warriors to win this series, but the Grizzlies have a legit shot. I mean, there's a reason why they were so good this year. They have depth, their defense is good, they have a superstar, and especially when a Desmond Bane is most likely inevitable to come, that's what makes this team so scary. And a lot of people had a lot of questions about the Grizzlies, like, would their fast break, their reliance on fast break, like, not just help them at all, which would really hurt them. But if you have John Morant taking over a game, then that's not really a problem. And yes, I still think they have to address that issue where the game slows down, they have more half-court stuff, but they still have capable players. I mean, Desmond Bane, we'll see if Dylan Brooks gets suspended. He most likely will. Jaren can do some stuff in the post, and if Ja is just hitting his jump shots, he's just so special. And he's only in his 3rd year. He's only like young 23 years old, and I just think that his offense is just so incredible. Now, I would like to see his defense improve. I mean, in the Wolves series, he got targeted pretty much every single play. He got targeted this game a lot. Steph Curry went after him a lot of times and just got some easy layups on him. And you would, of course, like him to improve that. But overall, Ja, what a game. 47 is just crazy. And also his passing, I mean, especially like that game 6 against the Wolves, his passing was there. Even though his offense wasn't there, he had the passing, and he's still picking apart the Warriors defense with his floaters, drives, and passing. And we'll see how they adjust. I mean, both teams are championship level teams, I think. I mean, maybe not as much the Grizzlies because they are a little bit inexperienced, but the Warriors, they faced these problems in these playoff runs before, and they've adjusted before, and we'll see what they do. So that being said, comment down below your thoughts about this game. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.